This is the solution artist, Bobby at Parihar here. How you guys doing with Anna T. Brooks? What's up, Anna?
Hi.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I feel like you're like a new person to me now. When we last talked, I knew your power. I knew I could feel it. There was something really strong within you. And, you worked with me, I worked with you, but I hadn't gotten a chance to work with you in your realm, what you do for people. And I was like, oh, well, when we were talking last, I was like, well, you got to come back. We got to do this again. So we definitely had to go in for round two. Only something's different now. I got a chance to sit with you under your coaching mirror or under your coaching light, underneath your table where you were, or on their table, I guess, where you help people go through some things within them. And I'd like to share with people as much as we possibly can what it's like to look inside of that. Like, you and I both speak this language. We're both coaches. We mentor people. We share with them what's possible. And so, like, we're going to have some fun today. It's like great to have you back. But I really want to talk about this before we get too far out. It's like this importance of like having a coach. Like, some people are like, what? You paid someone to talk to them? Like, like it's like weird. They're just like, I don't get it. And then for us, we can't help but chuckle when we say that, because like, well, we make a living this way. And also there's a huge business in becoming a better person. And the way that I like to put it is that professional athletes have like a team of coaches, and they don't just hire them once. They make millions of dollars, and they've got to have people who are helping them see beyond the bend, see beyond the curve. So for me, I know how valuable and important coaching is, but I'd love to, like, from your perspective, share us with like that. But that's gonna be your first question, okay? So other than that, how you doing? How you been? What's going on? What's been new since we last talked?
What's been new? Well, just I don't know. Everything, I think. Everything. I've launched my VIP in-person days again, so this was huge for me. I'm so excited because this is literally like the coaching that we've done together, but it's in person. It's like a full day. It's just one-on-one. My energy is focused entirely on this person. So that's been a big thing. I'd absolutely just launched the hell out of that, which was really fun. But yeah, in terms of, what you were saying about the coaching, it's so funny because it was actually yesterday that I was in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, and the person in there mentioned something around this whole coaching thing, and about, how she often gets asked, well, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay so consistent? How do you keep coming up with content? And why do you keep working with coaches? Like, you're a coach. Why, aren't you good enough? Aren't you good enough to now just that kind of thing? And the way that she expressed it, I'm going to share it because it was so amazing, where she basically shared that she's obsessed with this. She is obsessed with the coaching, right? Not just from the point of view of her helping people with their businesses and with their lifestyle, but the way that you can tell if someone's a really good coach is, do they love being coached?
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you have an aversion to actually getting coached, like, how do you think your clients are going to feel about working with you? Whereas
this is circulation of energy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas the more that you can show that, no, I'm obsessed with this. I have a business coach myself. I have a lifestyle coach. I have I have different healers, different modalities of energy that I work with. I have Bobby for a whole other modality and everything like that. Like, I am obsessed with this. This is who I am. And this is why I love helping people so much. If you're not, if you can't actually see the value in getting it from somebody else and getting that support and that help to take you to those next levels from someone else, it's probably going to be a really hard struggle for you to convince anybody else that they need your support, whether it's in growing their business or attracting money or whatever it is. If there's so much like, why would I pay anyone else? Well, why would they pay you? Why? Yeah. So it's interesting that you actually brought that up, because that was literally on my mind today. Yeah.
So vital. And I remember learning this, and like, it was one of my mentors that said this to me once, where it's like, you can only take someone as far as you've personally gone. And like, as a coach, you have to believe in the system so much that you would invest yourself, your time, your energy, your money into it to make sure that you're always getting that next level advantage. And it's cool because I work in leagues with a lot of people who have their own businesses, yourself included. You came to me and were like, let's do this number stuff. And then I was like, sweet. And then I learned that you were a coach as well. And I admired that because I know what we deal with. If we take a lot of other people's stuff on, and maybe not, hopefully, you know, that if you know how to process other people's energy. Some people out there are dealing with this lack, I don't want to say lack, I want to say this circulation opportunity where they're averse to taking their own coaching or to being coached themselves. And there is that person who's like, oh, I hired a coach once. That's kind of like saying I went to have breakfast one time. It was great. That it's a daily thing, the same way that, you know, you have to read books daily and do this stuff daily. I wouldn't say maybe see a coach daily, but at least, you know, communicate with some mentors once a week and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But it's like, or at least like once a month. Like for me, I'm at least seeing someone once a month. I want to know who else can take a look at me. What can you see inside of me? So cool. Yeah. And it's nice because we're in the same community, but we are very grateful for you because of the, like, you know, inside of our community. We are internet entrepreneurs. So, you know, we help people discover their journey through wealth. And whether it be learning a few skills or picking up a really powerful offer or being part of a really good community, you get to stand as one of the front women of the first experiences, human experiences that someone gets to talk to on their journey. So when we call you a coach and you have a brand and you've got your own business, like that part, I'm proud of you. You're amazing. That's awesome. But then on the other part of what you do for us, this is almost like the hinge point on someone's entry. Like the people who I talk to, prospects, leads, and future business partners, we pray that we see a name like yours, you know, when it comes up as this, because, you know, you're scared to let your business, your little business go into hands. And it's nice to know that you talk the talk, you walk the walk, you do this professionally, you do it professionally in a couple of different dimensions. So I wanted to express a little bit of gratitude for you. If anybody's watching is like, oh, Anna's talked to my people, Anna's worked with my team. You must see a lot of really interesting things when you meet someone who wants to generate wealth online. Like I'd say this is like good, bad, and ugly. I remember I take coaching calls for our team. So when, you know, sometimes you hear things, you see things, you talk to some people and you wonder, you know, they thought it was going to be an overnight get rich quick, super click button. And it's the same person who's like, I got to buy a coach. And then the other person's like, oh my God, if only someone would show me. And you can immediately, I'd like to say, because of how spiritual you are, you can kind of tell who's who, but we don't want to spiritually judge people. But you know, because some people out there, good people, they have a tough time making these decisions. So like, do you have any, like, I don't know, advice for entrepreneurs or advice for people wanting to become entrepreneurs or wanting to design their lifestyle? I know that you're a very big fan of Leaders Not Lemmings, and there's a real big movement that you've got going on in there to like promote the shift, right? From crabs in a bucket to free flying eagles. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like speaking with, just so many people, like literally, you know, hundreds every single month, is you get really good and really quick at picking up where someone's at energetically. And time again, that's the biggest thing is this person married to their shit right now and they just want to keep marinating in it and a little longer? Or are they married to finding the solution, right? And it's a mindset, and you can't, like I used to believe, because I studied psychology, I did a psychology degree, I was very heavy in behavioral psychology and studying all of that, because I truly believe that you can sell anyone on anything, and you can, you can find a way to push people's buttons correctly and all this kind of stuff. And that was in my past life that I had a lot of training around that. And I found time and time again that when these tactics came up and someone was basically having to be dragged kicking and screaming into something that they are not energetically ready for, it just messes everything up for everyone, right? This person just spirals deeper into their victim mentality. The person who's done the selling ends up being really annoyed because they're like, why is this person not at all self-responsible? Why are they not doing anything of their own accord? And it's like, well, because you didn't allow this person to have their own journey, right? You just have to take that step back, detach from that outcome, and realize that this person is here to have their own journey, to go through the process the way that they need to. And until someone is ready to actually decide that, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna stop focusing on all the problems and the obstacles, that I'm gonna start looking for the solutions. When that happens, then it's easy, it's smooth sailing for everyone, right? Then it's all about, okay, yeah, you've got some fear coming up. Yes, you're gonna, step out of your comfort zone. Yes, you're gonna invest with a new business or a coach or whatever it is. Yes, there's fear coming up. That's normal because you're doing something different, right? And that's okay. That can be worked through, but not when the person is just still too deep and too focused on all the things that are wrong and just repeating to themselves why they can't do things, why everything's against them, why they're a victim, why the whole world's out to get them.
Yeah.
It's that's the time to be like, okay, cool, like guide them, give them some advice on how to start shifting out of that, but it's on that person to make it happen. That's the number one thing, is to not be taking everybody else's journeys on as your own and feel responsible for somebody else not doing what it is that you know that they're capable of. You're like, I can hear you. I know what's going on. I know how you can work through this. But until someone is ready to do that work, it's not going to happen, right? And so you've got to, it's one of the most hard things I think about being a coach, is understanding that you can't fix people for themselves. They need to want to do things themselves. You can't want something bad enough for somebody else. They've got to want it.
That's so true. Like, mic drop, straight up mic drop. Nailed it. You just nailed it. Like, I was like, because I'm sitting here, I'm like, so true, so true. And then you just hit it. You're like, you can't take responsibility for something. I'm like, oh my God, she's talking to me. And like, I know that this happens because I'm that coach where it's like, if they don't get the result they're looking for, they don't move into the direction they need to. It's like, did I do my thing wrong? And, like, imagine, hard-earned entrepreneurs are like spending money on dollars. They're driving business through your gateway. And, there's a tension there. Especially if, as me, I'm perhaps maybe a little bit more emotional than I perhaps should introduce a bit more logic sometimes, Bobby, just put it in your head a little bit, get out of your heart. But like, I would feel kind of responsible to think, what happens if I take someone's business and I don't produce for them, whether it be in a wealth building coaching call, or even like when we're diving deep into their spiritual essence, right? But the way you're putting it is the way that I also really see it, is that you can open the door, you can hold the door open. You can be there and describe the door. You can describe what's on the other side of the door. You can even help the person see what they're going through. But you can't walk through the door for them. It does not make sense. And you speak with it in such a like ferociousness, this like woman power that's like, look, I'm not messing around with you. And like, it's not that like bubbly, sweet little energy. This is like, yo, she's driving right now and she knows exactly where you're going. So I'd be blessed to make sure that, when someone gets a chance to build their wealth journey and you stand a chance to stand in their way somehow, that you're going to be a positive effect on the future of that person. Because we're all there, whether we're in a leadership mode of it or we're at the student level being like, am I not ready to move past this? Am I dealing with something that I need to go through and another straw in the camel's back, or are you the one that breaks it? And, if you can't be the one that breaks it, you probably shouldn't feel too terribly, I guess, where do you draw the line? Because even when I'm saying that, I'm like, yeah, but what if I didn't do it right? Like, like what happens if, because some people are like, I don't feel anything. And I'm like, okay, like you take a new letter and they're like, I didn't feel anything. And I'm like, I'm not sure if I explained this well, or, like you have to, people are expecting that microwave button in success, right? So and you're right, you can't change someone's mindset, but like, where do you draw the line?
That's an interesting question.
That's
that's an
people. And I know, and we're just gonna look at your chart again, just real quick. You're like an angel. So we have like this name that says 11s and 11s in it. Like, you're here to send here to help people. And there's like this big destiny in there. And this is like one of the really big reasons I was like, Anna, let me be your friend. Just come here for a second, be on my podcast twice. And so like, these numbers are like, look, 'cause we plug into this real spiritual service, and it looks like your birthday. I know we've done this before. I'm going to do this every single time we do this. It says 696. So if anyone's keeping up, that's a mastery code for a queen's name. So your birthday is like straight up crown throned up, like straight, like if this is a good dimension to live a life across, although it will take you your entire life to come to purpose with it. It's hiding under this 3, which is like super pleasant, very sweet, super charming. Don't look at my nails. What's up? Like this, just for those of you on the podcast, it looks like she like dipped her hand in like highlighters and Skittles, and it's just like straight up, it's ready to go. And like there's that charm and that social flair, but underneath it is this leadership that loves and cares. So on the other side, we're taking a look at a part of you that can get pretty sharp, that knows exactly how to, like, these 5s are everywhere. Like they're in Anna, they're in Teresa, they're in your new name, your old name, like Anna Brooks and Anna T. Brooks. Like, you ready to fight, and don't let the nails fool you. They're like diamond sharp. They will get right through you. And there's like this samurai feel, and it's cloaked in this spirituality. So when you speaking something, I'm like, oh, I'm totally getting it. And like for those spiritual types, there's a reason why this energy is like this. So super cool. Okay, so we get it. Where do we draw the line? Like, can we go back into that? Like, how do we answer this?
Okay, how do we draw the line? This was a powerful lesson that I had to go through, and I think this is something, Bobby, you would have picked up on in my chart, that one of my most powerful life lessons was not taking responsibility for other people. Deep self-worth stuff that needed to come up, and to stop basically taking on everybody else as my responsibility to make their life good, to make them feel good. And so that with that's why now I understand so deeply that it is the most selfless thing that I can do, to stand in my power and to just allow the person to do what they need to do, right? And to not attach to what are they going to do? Are they going to purchase this thing? Are they going to move forward in this way? Even if I can see, because I'm clairaudient, clairsentient, I can feel where they're going, and I can feel that they're right now stopping themselves. But obviously, depending whether they're working with me, one-on-one intensely, or whether they're just having a phone conversation with me one-off, it's going to depend, right? There's only so many things I can say to someone on a short one-off conversation when we're discussing their business plan, versus when we're having more time, one-on-one time together, and it's a bit different there. But like I said, all what I focus on is and this is how I set every single one of my calls that I have, whether it's with an ongoing client or whether it's a one-off call. Every time before I get on the phone, the last thing I do is I take 60 seconds, and that's all that I need, 60 seconds to ground myself. And I channel through and I say, thank you, Source, for guiding me to the best possible resolution for everyone involved. And that, to me, just like I literally got tingles when I said that, because I feel that so deeply, because it's the way that I can show up in my best power. It's the best solution for this person right now. It's the best solution for their business, their team members, the other people that are invested in them growing a business. I am literally asking Source to come through me and guide me in the best possible way. If that means that this person moves forward with something, great. If this means that all this person needed is to speak to someone with a different mindset, who can just tweak something, just a little something in their mind that makes them go, hold on, is it really that bad? Do I really have it that hard? Or am I just looking for problems? Even just planting that seed, right? And you plant that seed and you don't know where it's going to go, but I trust that it's going to guide this person and help this person in some way if they are receptive, right? If they're not receptive, sorry, not my problem, not my responsibility, not my time to, stop shining and stop helping those I can help because other people don't want my help. That's fine. I'm not going to force it down anyone's throat. But yeah, for me, that just that pure intention that I set before every single call, just thank you for guiding me to the best possible outcome for everyone involved. That just makes me feel calm. I know that whatever happens, happens. It's meant to be, and it's going to be perfect. And everyone ultimately is responsible for what they get out of it. I'm coming into it with the perfect intention. If the person on the other line is not coming into it with the perfect intention and they're here to be a victim and they're here to just have a whinge and whatever, then that's their intention and they will get what they've chosen to manifest. And
Wow.
no responsibility, guys. This is big for me. Like, seriously, to say things like that is the stuff that used to scare the hell out of me, because that was when I would get called selfish, typical Gemini, just obsessed with yourself, don't care about anyone else. So I went the opposite way. I cared about everyone but myself. And I just tried to fix absolutely everyone and realized that everyone's miserable, including myself.
Sure.
Until I flipped that.
Wow. And thankfully you did. It almost feels like, because I talk about this human experience, like, we're supposed to go through a tough time on our own so that when we get there, we have our own curriculum of sort of like School of Hard Knocks or street life and the real world decisions and things that we have to deal with. So, it's nice to see that you're living into your numbers, and as well, you've got alignments. It's good. Naturally alignments as well, because, this is a name that, through marriage has given you, not even, I'd say because marriage, but let's say Brooks, okay? It's a name you hold. So through the transition of this vibration, you hold an extra level of power, whether it was Anna Brooks, Anna Teresa Brooks. Sorry to pull out your full name here. I guess it's kind of Anna T. Brooks is who you are, right? So people are going to start to wonder, what's the T for? And so, there's natural alignments that are showing up and mastery energy. So we see a lot of that really comes in for you. So we're grateful that, hey, you've turned it to business. But I think business is kind of like a front. It's really more about raising the value within the energy of yourself. That's why people like that do business. You provide opportunity for others. Makes you feel like that, but when you're saying these things, it's like, okay, so I'm looking at charts. I'm seeing things like 3 for expression, 5 for chat, for like fight and ambition and let's go. But then this 11, that's kind of like, I'm going to let spirit drive. And these 7s that say, I'm going to let spirit drive. These 6s that say, I trust in love. I trust in this thing. And it's interesting because underneath that level, I'm like, she's awfully psychic. Like this, for anyone who's kind of picking that up a little bit, she's got the human pieces up top. But now that we can have a little bit deeper, more comfortable conversation, we can look in this and see 11s and 9s and 6s and 9s and 7s and 9s. Like there's a lot that's unfolding here that is like spiritual soul purpose, manifested earthwise. So it's cool because we got our session done. And I felt like you were talking to me and like, oh, you can't just have a one-off conversation. You want to build your business, build your brand. You have to enlist me and make sure that I'm there. I'm like, that's true. It really is true. And I mean, as profound as the one-off experience is, I have to agree with you. Like there's so much more to discover. There isn't a microwave button that just like, you have to do this. You have to make a culture of this. That's what the most successful people do, right? So cool. You started VIP days in person. So can we go down this for a little bit? Like, is this a cool thing to? Because this is like I'm like picking up ideas, and you guys are like my inspirations. I admire you, coaches, and people who do really like you're creating these massive little products. I'm like, wow, I gotta get my hands on some of those. I gotta figure out what does it look like when really powerful people do stuff like this. So share us with the odds. Like, I want to be a VIP. What's gonna happen?
Oh my gosh, it's 6 months of coaching in one day. It's like collapsing time, collapsing space, collapsing everything, all the constructs that you think you understand in terms of how things can shift. And last week, actually, I did a live stream very specifically around this because I got the download that there is a specific person. I felt everything about them. I felt their emotions. I felt what they're going through. I felt where they've been. I felt what they're wanting. And it was the weirdest thing. And I jumped on and I did like an hour live stream talking to this one imaginary person that I could feel about this day, which I specifically called One Magical Day, right? So like the technical name for my VIP days is Soul Strategy Superstar. and because it's combining soul and strategy for your business and exploding your business online. But for some reason, I felt like making this live stream called One Magical Day, and I spent this whole hour just talking to this imaginary person, and it was one of like the biggest, like the most, I guess, seen of one of my live streams. And straight away afterwards, I had people reaching out who were just like, holy shit, you were talking to me. How did you know? And there was people that have literally never even conversed with me before. They just randomly somehow ended up there. And that basically summarizes the VIP day, because what we do, it's about elevating and embodying this next level version of yourself, okay? Because there's things that can happen with the steps and with the, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to apply this, and then I'm going to go through this strategy, and I'm going to do all these things, and it's going to take a certain period of time, and that's all well and good. But the people that I work with on these days are people like myself who understand deeply that change happens in an instant. When you are able to embody and step into this new energy, things can literally shift overnight. They can literally shift in a day. And that's exactly what this is about. It's about breaking down. So similar to the breakthrough session that you had with me, Bobby. So that's what we start with essentially, but it's in person. So it's a beautiful 5-star luxury suite in a hotel. So you have everything included on the day, all the meals, all the drinks, all the dinner out and everything like that. So it's all fully inclusive. And what we do in the day is literally just go so deep into your soul, into your inner work, into your purpose, really pull out that message that's been hidden, that you've been still trying to kind of cover up and kind of be like, oh yeah, it's this, I'm going to do this. But really, you know, there's something else. And so we go deep on all of that. We do
so good
energetic work. One of the things we do on the day is a really powerful ritual where we go through a lot of limiting beliefs and blocks that you already have, some that you're going to be aware of, some that I would tune into and kind of help you through. And we do a powerful ritual around releasing that, and then choosing the new beliefs, choosing this new version of yourself that you are stepping into, which is really, it is all you, right? It is all you. I always like to kind of re-explain that there's no levels of you. There's no like, oh, okay, I'm here and I want to be there. It's all within you right now. It's about accessing that more than anything. And that's exactly what that ritual is for. So right at the end of the day, after all of this intense mindset, inner work, strategy, business, everything combined, you have that ritual to absolutely just embody everything that's shifted, everything that's happened on the day. Because it's a day that changes you forever. The next day when you wake up, your default setting is different. You can't have the same thoughts you used to. You can't have the same worries you used to. If you've ever had a day in your life where something changed, it could have been bad, it could have been good. And after that moment, just nothing looked the same again. It's that, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens by chance. Most often in our lives, those kind of things happen by chance. This is literally a container, a day in which you consciously get to choose that day gets to happen for you. And from that point forward, the things that start to shift just happen so fast because you are now at a different default setting. You are now at a different level and energy of yourself, and you just can't attract the same shit that you used to because you're just not that person anymore. Yeah.
That's a pretty satisfying.
And we have lots of fun as well.
Oh, that's a pretty satisfied looking Anna. I tell you something, guys. If you're listening to the podcast, you should see the look on her face. She's so proud of herself, and I'm like, I could see it. I could see it when you're talking about this. I was getting the vision download, and I'm literally watching this like episode in my mind of like another day, one magical day, and like you're transforming someone's life, and this is so cool. Like to think that like you're. And then this thing clicked on, and I'm like, because I've got the intuitive numbers too. Okay, I know these things, and so I'm like thinking there's this piece that's like you've been. I don't know how to properly explain this. We got to go real spiritual on this for a minute. So it's this feeling that you've been given this extraordinary power to help someone go in so far into their future, into the desired destiny of where they want to be, bring that picture, time travel it back to the present, and like screw it in. And like that's like, or like really like press like melt it into today. And like when you're talking about this, I'm like chills. I'm like, no, she's telling the truth, guys. Like you can feel it as a numerologist, you know these things. And I'm like, looking at her numbers, I'm like, first of all, I'd listen. But second of all, when you say it, you almost like this just rolls out an experience that people are gonna have. So cool. What else do we need to know? I mean, I have so many questions about this. So are you in planning phase? Is now you're saying it's already happening now?
Yeah, yeah.
Big
Got the
thing.
first couple of people booked in. Yeah.
We got to figure out how that's going to feel. I'm so super excited for you. How are you feeling about this? This is an empowering generational move for you.
It is, and it's part of, I guess, that ultimate vision that I've always known, which is, yes, I meant to, like, writing is something I love, speaking is something I love. I joke that I could pretty much have a camera pasted to my face 24/7 and I'd love it because I love it. But really what lights me up beyond anything is being live with people in person. So that's why I know that I'm going to be running huge events in the future, Tony Robbins style, where I'm speaking in front of thousands of people and really inspiring them. But at the same time, I love the one-on-one, right? And this is exactly why I'm doing these VIP days, because there is just something that gets to happen when my one-on-one clients that work with me in online, like they get this as well because I'm energetically connected with them. But then having it in person is just like, it's just a different level. It's just, you can't begin to understand if you've never been to even a live event with anyone before or a seminar or anything like that, let alone actually working with someone in person. It's hard to understand that difference, but it's that elevation, and I get it from my clients all the time when I say, what is it that drew you to me? What is it that made you want to work with me? And I'm, kind of thinking they're going to say, oh, well, it was the way that you explained this, or it was the way that, you taught this topic. And they're all like, nah, your energy. I listened to you and I felt you and I knew I had to work with you, and that's it. And I'm like, well, imagine if I can compact that energy in person. So not only do you get to feel me from the screen, but we get to actually connect and feel each other, and you get to feel that my presence, my energy, everything is focused solely on you and on your healing in that day. Like, it's mind-blowing what gets to happen. And so yeah, this is 100% like my soul work beyond anything else is, and I still feel funny saying this. I still feel slightly self-conscious saying this, but I get to shift people just by being in their presence. Like, they get changed.
It's true, though. It's true.
Yeah, just because I'm there and I've chosen and I've set an intention to focus my energy on them, and things just get to change for them. And it's so self-conscious when I say this, but it's true, and it's what I have to, it's my next challenge to truly own that and step up and go, no, I can do this and I am doing this, so let's do this.
Well, do you want to just unequivocally take a look? I mean, I'm looking at it myself, and I'd love to share this with you. Are you okay if I put this on, if I share this with you?
What are you sharing? What?
Your numbers in your chart.
Yeah, go for it.
So let's just take a look here. Okay, I want to make sure that we can see this. These numbers, when we see them, we see mastery because there's a 9 in the middle of them. Then we see concepts around them that give us characteristics. I'm a life path 11, so I feel like, and I know I've made this connection before, that we speaking of the same fabric of spiritual soul work in effort to help someone get through in their life. So you having that, and then also my middle name, Francisco, is also this same number. So I get I'm like, when I'm out there looking through my spiritual eyes lens, I recognize when you're doing that. And I'm looking through it myself, and you're saying this, and my imagination's going wild, looking like, oh, I see this event. They're at the restaurant, and this, like, and I had this vision of like content videographers, like, like taking branding for you guys, or like for them, or just kind of like an attention focus on that. And like just seeing this in my mind, my imagination was like, wow, that's really cool. And you're talking about this, it's got this really large level of like, you're painting a spiritual picture underneath the words you're saying. And these numbers are like, that's exactly what she's doing. And so when we see that, we're like, whoa, there's a real big spiritual light beam that's happening here. Because this is the where you started as a when you're born, and then this is what you've come into now. These numbers are extraordinarily spiritual, but they'll also have a very strong lack of sense of self. They're not about the ego, the sense of me. And that's why there's things like self-conscious. And we see it again now coming into the human form, 696. We also see again that your name was already naturally balanced, and that we've got this 5, this 3, this 5, this 3, this 5, this 3, this 5, this 3. There seems to be a repeating factor of this, like, one side will be like, it's okay, you can just turn the right off, or turn the lights down low and, like, go into my warrior mode. Or like, or you just, hey, it's all show, no big deal. And like, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Let's still be friends. On the other side, it's like, let's change and shift and move and let's work towards something. So it's nice to see, hey, she got a human experience in front of her. That's like enough to get you what I said before, that spiritual street cred, that you've had some stuff that you've had to grow through. So when I see these types of numbers, I just have to ask, like, what would you say to the person who was dealing with the stuff that you were dealing with before any of this stuff came out, and you were still at, like, because this kind of thing can kind of attack itself a little bit, and sometimes your worst enemy kind of thing. And so, like, that's a human, like, I have one of the worst ones inside of myself as well too. And so, like, it's tough to be human. And sometimes we have to recognize that, hey, we are, but these numbers are barely human. So you have to, like, really, like, look at that and be like, whoa, the part of you that doubts is human. So just to settle the score here, sometimes you'll look at it and be like, I can't believe this. And other parts you'll be like, I'm just going to be guided, and I'm going to show up present, and I'm going to be me, and I'm going to do exactly me. And then the best thing of that's going to happen. So really cool to see that. But what do you think? Like, from the humanity part of you, what would you say to yourself 10 years ago? Who's listening now?
Let's see. There's many things, many things, but for the most part, it would be, gosh, I don't know. I've actually just gone blank. There's so much.
Remember that time. Remember that place in your life when really you were like looking at it, just like, I don't know if I can do this. Or like in the darkest places, like, what would you tell to that party? Remember when we were doing this exercise?
I got it. I got it.
Go for it.
Trust your intuition. Get the fuck out of your head. Stop listening to all the logical stuff. Stop listening to other people, especially people who don't have what you want, people who are not living the life you want. And just trust your intuition, no matter how weird, no matter how scary, no matter how illogical, how irresponsible. Listen to your gut, to your intuition, that thing that comes up and just goes, something, an option or an opportunity comes up and you go, listen to that. Something comes up and you go, yeah, listen to that. Even if then your mind wants to be like, no, that makes no sense. That's not smart. You're going to end up bankrupt and on the street, because that was literally my recurring thought for years. I don't know how I came up with that, because there's no actual way I could end up on the street, but that was literally my programming is, no, if I do this, if I spend like that little bit more money on myself, I'm going to end up on the street. And it was purely all of that ego keeping me safe, all of that mind keeping me safe and secure in where I am. And it wasn't until I started to tune in and realize, I have all the answers within me. I have all the answers within me. They're trying to talk to me at all times. And my job is to listen and then take the aligned action with it. Not to pretend it didn't happen, not to tell it to shut up, but to just follow it blindly, absolutely blindly. Just be like, blinkers on, that is where I'm heading. Don't care about anything else. Don't care about how this isn't going to work according to the rules of the world. Just do it anyway. That's yeah. It would be that, because that's honestly where everything shifted for me, when I finally realized I have all the answers within me. And two, just because you have all the answers within you doesn't mean you can't get help. Because that was the other thing. When I finally realized I have all the answers within me, I had exactly what we talked about at the beginning. I had this aversion to getting a coach, getting support, getting healing, getting, paying other people for services and for things that I wanted, that I felt were right for me, because I was like, oh, no. That's, I'll figure it out myself. Surely I can figure this out myself. Yeah. Just because you can doesn't mean you have to. And if you're going to be forever in the pattern of assuming you have to do everything yourself and not accepting and receiving support with ease, it is going to be so friggin' uphill and so friggin' hard the whole way through. So just take the support, just take the help. Yes, you're confident, you're Superman, Superwoman, you can do it all yourself, but you don't have to. Just get the help, get the support, get the training, get the education, get whatever it is. Because why do you believe that you have to make it so hard on yourself? Why do you believe that you have to do it all yourself, when, guess what, everything that you want to create, there's other people that are going to help you. You're going to be able to help them. The more you connect, the easier it gets. Other people are actually not the enemy. Yeah, see, told you there was a few things, but that would be the two things.
Well, I mean, like, I'm just,
everything else, yeah.
it's nice, it's refreshing to see that and hear you say that, because looking at your chart, you don't have a number 4 in there. That you're describing a 4 energy. It was like, I gotta do everything myself. Super like analytical thing. In this case, there's a lot of emotional give and receive, and a lot of spiritual trust and validity. So in place of this, doing things, because a lot of us deal with this challenge of like, yeah, but they're gonna mess it up, or I'm not worthy of it, or like I live in this box-like mentality. And I mean, even like lovingly, like, my Life Path 4 has this vibration, and it's like, it supports us, but it's that also on that same side that says, everything has to get done in my way, that kind of, or like I have to do it, instead of like receiving and trusting support from others. It's hard to hire people sometimes so that we can free up our time, because it's the same thing with me. I'm just not satisfied because I have the 4s in my chart too. I'm like, I would just do this myself, but is it a good use of my time? So that's a really powerful advice, especially, back in that time of my life too. Like, fuck, it was crazy. And, it was like, I thought working 65, 70 hours a week was like, as opposed to this, oh, I'm going to do a business. Like, yeah, right. One of those people, right? Like, have a business. Hey, what are you selling? And this is like a really tough, because I used to be that guy who just make fun. And then when I got fired from my job, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, I might as well. I've gone crazy. I'm gonna go and get a business now, because I had lost faith in being an employee, which makes me wonder, like, how these numbers affect you. Did you like, you had a job when you were a kid? Like, did that ever happen? Like, you did that, right? Probably.
Oh yeah.
So you were. Yeah. For a long time, did you get into like coaching and stuff early on in life? Like, how was your transition? Like, I want to know, like, what saved you from corporate Australia? Is that a thing? Corporate Australia?
It is. Of course it is. You don't all just hop around on kangaroos over here in the outback. We have offices and buildings.
What? It's like Hollywood out there. Was out there last year, and it was just like, man,
I know.
Still in place. No, you guys really throw down really, really good down under. But what happened? How did you get out of this?
So my first job was actually cold calling telemarketing for phone, like for internet packages. That was my first job.
What?
I was 17. I was just finished high school. I finished high school a year younger than most people. And that was actually my first job. That was also my first breakdown, and the first time that I ran crying out of anywhere, basically. I just broke down. I had enough of people telling me to go F myself in very figurative ways. And I had a breakdown and ran out of there crying and never came back. That led me quite powerfully into not liking sales and thinking that sales are evil and selling is evil and it's horrible, and the only people that ever sell anything are horrible, F word, blah, 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 that I got called. And that was not a great lesson at the time.
Yeah.
So I I studied, I went to uni, I did 2 different degrees at uni. I did psychology and music as well, because I was actually thinking about becoming a music teacher. I'm classically trained in singing and piano. And when I was doing that, the whole way through, I could just feel that this wasn't me. And it was very much, there was parts of me. The psychology part was definitely within me. I loved studying human behavior and psychology and understanding what people's motivations are and that kind of thing. But I hated the way that the psychology realm worked. I hated the rules that they had around it. I hated the way that the coaching happened, the way that it was so focused on the problem and digging through the problem and digging at the problem a little bit more, until you just somehow 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years later come to a resolution. That just didn't resonate with me. I'm like, I have a life to live. I do not feel like being, talking about my daddy issues when I'm 88. So I really want to get, I want to get moving. I want to create something. And so after uni, I basically just, I finished those 2 degrees and I got into personal training. And this was a big part of my evolution, because that was my first time realizing that mindset trumps all. Someone's mindset will literally decide everything in their life, regardless what they do. You cannot outdo your own mindset, because I saw it time and time again. I would have these clients who, I would give them the exact same training, the exact same advice, everything to help. And one of them would just week after week, nothing changes. The other one, like day after day, there are changes, and they are doing the same things. They are applying the same things. And it was purely because some people's mindset was, well, of course this is going to work. Of course I can do this. That confidence, that inner trust was there. And the other people didn't have that. They were doubtful. They believed that they would fail. They tried to lose weight before. They tried to be consistent at exercise before. And so that mindset was just leading them, and it was leading them to get the exact result that they believed in. And that was my first time to just realize that, holy shit, I'm not here to train people. I'm not here to like make you go do your step ups and your bench press or whatever. Health and fitness is always going to be one of my core values, but it's not something I want to teach other people anymore. And that was when I realized, okay, this is where I'm meant to be. This is the journey I'm meant to start going down. And while I was doing this, I was actually yo-yoing between working as a personal trainer, so running my own business like a franchise within a gym, and then going back to real estate and working a job, J-O-B, for someone in real estate. And honestly, I always say this person that I worked for, who's still an incredible company down in Melbourne in Australia, he is the greatest boss I have ever had. If I was cut out for working for someone else, I would have stayed there for the rest of my life. This man gave me back a job when I left and came back and left and came back. He created roles for me that probably didn't need to be created, because he valued how much I showed up and how much I did the work and actually was present and how much value I provided. He listened. He had a way, a posture around him. He still does. Sorry, I'm making him sound like he's dead. He's not dead. He had a posture around him that inspired everyone to do better, and he was in power, but not in a commanding way, just in a way that everybody wanted to be of service to him. And I learned so much from that, because I realized, like, there's so many people who hate their jobs, hate their bosses, hate where they're working. And the truth is, maybe they would be really happy as an employee, but just working for someone else, and that's fine. But I knew that if I have the greatest boss in the world right now and I'm still not happy, I'm still going to bed every single night crying myself to sleep. I'm still like staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning, waking myself up at 4 o'clock in the morning to keep doing the other stuff, all of the business stuff behind the scenes, because I've got a full-time job. I knew that if I'm still doing that, this isn't where I'm meant to be.
Right.
And that was when, all of that started to shift, and that was when it became really, really clear that, this is what I need to focus on. And the evolution on the online space was a fascinating one, from being like, the mindset, the personal trainer, the fitness, the kind of discipline kind of trainer, all the way through to now discovering, going through my feminine energy, actually rediscovering that I have a feminine energy, that I don't have to be all hard and hustle and discipline. And now it's the funniest thing, because people that don't know me jump onto a live stream and go, wow, you're so gentle. You have this feminine, like, you can see you've got so much strength and you know what you're talking about, but there's this gentleness, this feminine energy. And I almost feel like bursting out laughing, because like, if nobody would have said that about me a year ago. Nobody. They would have just been like, oh yeah, she's pretty, but like, she's hard. She's tough. She will not let you in. There is no femininity going on. So that was that, you know.
Man, talk about your owning your power. Because,
Yeah.
you know, like that's one level of power where I'm like, hey, I got to get some health tips from you. And then on the other side, it's like, hey, I'm actually growing into my divine feminine as well. And that's a nice, like, I guess now we know that you're developing different pockets of strength that you have. So to know that that engine is built on the inside, those are those fives when we see them, like passion, ambition, warrior mindset. Like, I'm going to win. And sometimes that may feel a little masculine in energy, whereas the three is going to be more like loving, caring, giving, serving, gentle, right? So that you oscillate between the two, I think, is a sign of strength, and not a feeling that, like, you know, should be negative, or feel like you're like, you've got to do one or the other, because it's a good mix. It's a really powerful, like, 1-2 punch. Good shield with the love and strong drive with the ambition. It's like the perfect set that you need to have inside of it. But then also gives you that really crazy human experience of, I'm not good enough, or I don't access this, or, you know, I'm challenged by that, or sometimes I just help other people, I don't help myself. And that's where I'm like, that's that humanity. It's like, what would you, because there's people out there, right, who had that vibration. It's not uncommon that people have negative, challenging numbers. But in the case of the names that you look at them, they're all -3s and -5s. So it's like a fight to find your feminine power, even though you're you've got a high store of it, and like, it's almost as if you just don't see it. And everyone's like, yeah, see, she's pretty, but it's like the energy inside, the mindset wasn't switched or shifted for that. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be very lucky to work with you, were they to be able to get a switch in their mindset there, for sure. So pretty cool. And now we got VIP days. Is there anything else that's going on? Like, what else you got? What else is in your bag?
So the one-on-one with me, so that's just entirely online. So most of my clients at the moment are actually overseas. So that's, you know, through phone calls, messenger support, all that kind of thing. And so that's a lot of the intuitive biz coaching that I do, which, yeah, it is definitely developing, you know, from just the biz coaching to the just intuitive mindset coaching, really. And so there's always the one-on-one clients I work with. There's my Soulful Biz Tribe, which is my low-cost monthly membership program. So this is something I launched a couple of months ago now. And so we're now in our third month now. And so we do weekly trainings in there based around growing your business, growing your visibility, engagement online, your mindset, how to step into that next level version of yourself, and how to truly embody that, become a magnetic to your soulmate tribe, all those kind of things. So we do a different training every single week. You get personalized energetic support from me as well. So every week I draw like an oracle card, or I might do an intuitive reading for everyone in the tribe. So that's definitely, you know, the lower cost kind of option at the moment with working with me. There's one-on-one, like one-off energetic readings, oracle card readings, that kind of thing, coaching in that realm as well. So I actually help people with intuitive coaching aside from business. If you don't have a business, but you just really want to learn about your own personal development and how to tune into your own intuition and how to actually develop the things in your life that you want aside from just business.
Yep.
I do one-on-one coaching with that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I try and keep it pretty simple because, yeah, I know what I love, I know what works.
That's like an array of different products and levels and systems that are all available. So I'm glad that you're stepping up to the challenge, and you're stepping up to the plate, rather, and you're saying, I'm going to build this. Because when I see 11s, one of them, we see spiritual teacher. When we see a 9 in the middle of two of them, we're seeing angel master. So that if you're like supposed to teach people stuff, I'd like to think that we should pay attention to it. And then with another numbers that so double sevens and nines, we see that there's a very deep, deep, wise library inside of you that says that all the answers are within you and that you've got this deeper level of spiritual understanding. And it's nice to, be that future indicator for someone or help them get there and have that vision for someone. So very nice. Very, very nice. I want to talk about what we did. So people are like, oh, cool. So, what does it look like and this and that? And it's interesting how you went from things like, can we give a synopsis of what our time together was? People are gonna be curious. And I have to absolutely tell you, this is like, because when you described all the different things you did, I felt like the breakthrough session was like a micro version of that. It felt like, because we did, you pulled a card, and then we also did some technical like understanding of like, what does the business look like and where are you at? So you kind of like measured it logically. And then we also went into like a spiritual side. We went into a guided meditation side. It was a really powerful thing that we did on another level as well. So, and I'd like to think that you, being the intuitive person that you are, you'll be able to pull whatever the person needs in that time. I would imagine this is how it works. Or is that like the massive regular, more or less, format of the breakthrough session?
It does vary a little bit. I always, obviously, before every call, I always spend time tuning in first. The card that I pull at the beginning, that's more just like what extra information do you want me to be aware of, or something that'll become obvious during the session kind of thing. But yeah, it's exactly, like the VIP days, really my slogan should just be soul and strategy, because that's what we do. We do the soul work and we do the strategy work together. And that's why, for people who haven't worked with me before, it can seem very like, holy crap, how did she just go from this strategy, here's the things to do, to suddenly she's talking about like my childhood and my inner feelings and what's going on kind of thing. But the two combine so perfectly, the way that I like to work. And so the visualization that we did in the breakthrough session, yep, that's something that I do with everybody on a breakthrough, because time and time again, that one is just, it's so powerful. Like, I have people either breaking down in tears or happiness or laughing or just feeling like, holy shit, this is the first time I feel like I've met myself, and just like, and felt that and embodied that in that way. And so that's something I do with every single person on a breakthrough session, because it's incredible and it's so powerful. And then, yeah, the rest of it, like, I do have obviously, a few notes and things to go through to give ideas about what angle to go on, but it's very dependent on the person. Depends if it's, to do with their business more, if it's something, people that are maybe wanting to work on relationships, or they're wanting to work on their own relationship with themselves or partners or something like that, then obviously it's going to vary a little on the strategy side of things. But yeah.
It's like, oh man, I don't know how to explain this experience, guys. If anybody's ever seen, they like talk about transportation, like as if you could bend space and time in half, and that you could take a pen and put it through and then connect like a wormhole between two different spots and pieces in time. So when we were doing this visualization technique that she's talking about, it brings me to like this very surreal level of emotion, because your name does that with double 11s, your birthday does that with double 6s, your name does that with double 7s. You are a spiritual mirror in a few of these names. It's very butterfly feeling, like symmetrical feeling. So it's almost as if you are an experience with you, this breakthrough experience, even it's just a small little tip, like lick of the cupcake. You're not even having the full experience here, but you're literally folding it and and watching an experience happen. For me, because I'll tell you guys what I remember, but I consciously looking back at this experience was, this conversation that I have with my future self, and the way that it's guided and what you go through, it's extraordinarily profound. It was a very nice touch. So I'm glad that you did that, but it really begs the question of like, do we understand the enormity of that because even when you said it, like this whole energy is like, ooh, and it felt like this big thing was just being like dipped in. And then you kind of just sort of like flicked your hair, like, and then we, you know, a bunch of other things. And then you kind of just like come back to the world a little bit. I'm like, whoa, that was like you've got a very strong spiritual magnet. It's like, like the same thing that like a black hole will bend around light and time, the same way this experience happens. And when we see your name, I'm like, that's like the spiritual reference, but experiencing it myself and watching you do this as a profession for people, I'd like to recommend this woman to my audience. It's a reason why you're here twice, but that's profound. And when I see it, I'm like, no, I know what I'm seeing. Like, I know I can see what I'm seeing. And that's why I like to offer or connect or request, you know, your power, because, you know, on the show. So I know people are going to get value from this, but, and I think I'd like to think that there's a part of you who doesn't yet know the full extent of what this power is. And then on the other side to think, no, this is what I was sent here to do. But like, you know, I think you may have to let us talk to those two. I want to hear the person who's like still growing into this. And I want to hear from the part of you that's like sent here to do this.
Okay. How do we do that?
So let's talk about the human condition of doubting myself and, you know, allowing myself to step into my full power and, you know, like shaking off the human experience. And then after we'll go into the other side where it's like, you know, that you're looking into you're tying in someone's future to today. You're creating a wormhole for them, for us to embody, because I embody the energy of my future self. And I do this too. I know this is a thing that I do inside of my sessions, where I'm telling someone to walk down the timeline of their being and speak to themselves in their future. And don't forget in your future to speak to yourself as a kid when you were still going through this. That's why I asked, what would you tell yourself 10 years ago? But when you're doing it, it's such a profound experience. So yeah, where would you want to start? I don't know. It's up to you.
Not sure.
Okay, I think we have to go in from the top. We have to go in from the top, and you got to talk about this like high level power that you mastered and experienced. And we have to go real. This is like the spiritual side of things, like your vision and your goal to help people achieve a higher level consciousness or to teach them something. Like, what's the high level view here?
I think it's the understanding exactly what you were talking about with time, right? It's that understanding that time is just our perception. It's just a construct that we have, that we've used here as, you know, in our 3D world to basically be able to get by, right? To be able to create the society that we have. But aside from that, it has no actual purpose for our soul. Our soul doesn't need time. There is no time. There is no future. There is no past. There is just now. And so what happens with, you know, with any kind of powerful visualization or powerful, you know, transformative work is exactly what you said with that collapsing of time and the collapsing of the continuums, where anything that you feel and you experience in the now is happening in the now. And that is how you get to call in that future self, is when you can visualize and you can feel and you can step into it. Even though you're imagining it in your mind doesn't know that difference. It is there. It is experiencing it now. And therefore, all of the energy, all of the attraction, all of that attraction point that you're at, that is where it is vibrating now. Everything that you are seeing about your future self, everything that you're seeing about, you know, what you're going to be doing, how much money you're going to be making, the people you're going to be impacting, all of that you're seeing gets to be brought here into the now through you, through your own feelings, through your own visualization. And when that happens, everything starts to shift. But as long as we buy into and we still continue being married to this idea of, well, yeah, the past is the past and the future is the future, and we look back on something and we think that that's already happened and it's in the past, and then we look into the future and we think about things that are going to happen, we are always outside of the now, and nothing happens outside of the now. Everything is happening now. If you think back to something that happened in your past, right, some like a horrible thing, like someone, a family member or someone died, or even something really happy that happened, if you think back to that and you remember those emotions and you remember how it felt when you found out, when you got the news, all of this thing, you have now brought that into the now. You feel it in the now. Just because it happened back then doesn't mean that you're not re-experiencing it, because you're attached to it. You have that emotional attachment. You've now brought it into the now. And it's just, that's where I believe a lot of symptoms of things like depression come from, is when people are looking back on the past and they're reliving the past as though it is now. And then the opposite way with the future, when people are constantly, and this is what I went through for a long time, I never looked back on the past. Yesterday can be gone for all I care. I was always future. I was always what's happening this week, next year. And I had built myself into a pattern of anxiety, really intense anxiety and panic attacks, because I was not living in the now. I was in the future. I was always worrying about what's happening in the future, what's going to come up in the future. Can I create all of this that I say I want to create in the time frame that I've set myself? And I had all of this anxiety because I wasn't in the now, right? And so you have those two continuums of people living in the past and having depressive states, and then people living too far into the future and having anxious states. Whereas the only way to be centered and within yourself is in the now, is in the here. And so this visualization basically takes, we're not going into the past, because this particular one isn't about healing and rewriting stories or anything like that. This one is actually about stepping into that next level version of yourself, the vision that you have for yourself, and doing, exactly what you said, Bobby, with collapsing time and bringing those two parts of you, who you are right now, into that vision, and putting it into that one spot, embodying that now, embodying that into the here and now, so that you can be exactly who you want to be. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to worry about, what are the things I have to do? What are the steps I need to take? Any of that kind of stuff. It's literally just, well, I am this person now. So therefore, as this person, what do I feel like doing? And that's as simple as it gets to be, rather than, if I want to get to this person, well, there must be like a spreadsheet of all the things I need to tick off and all the steps I need to get to. Well, sure, if you believe that time is just continuous and that's how it works. But if you actually understand that time is just relative and you get to choose and you get to expand and contract it at your will, then why would you wait? Why would you not want to feel everything that you get to feel in your ultimate version of yourself now? Why wouldn't you want to feel that? That's just obvious. So,
hey, maybe for you, easy for you to say, right? You got these numbers that really work, and they're like really like there's like you're saying you're gonna do something. So I trust in that, but there's still the people out there in the human side of things. So they're not ready, like you said, they're not done. They're married to something else, and they're not creating the value they need to. And it affects a lot of the people, but we're blessed to have you as a light that shows us this, and to make it so like simple, common sense. Why wouldn't you contract time? Like, you throw your energy around like it doesn't matter. And I'm like, oh, it's so true. So true. So, okay, I've got a couple questions then, and then we can wrap this up. And if you guys are watching with us, and this is a really sweet gift, because when the audiences get to hear this, they're watching something, and they're going to have to reach out to you and follow your story, follow your journey. So just in case we didn't do that properly enough on the first time we talked to each other, can we just give someone a real quick understanding? Where do we find you? Where are you going to be? What's the deal? How do you like to talk to people? Where do you like to hang out?
Facebook's the main place. I connect with everyone on Facebook, so you can go check out my profile. It's public, Anna T. Brooks, so you can go send me a friend request, or just follow me if you want to privately stalk me. That's cool too. Whatever works.
Sure.
I have a free private Facebook group as well, which is Leaders Not Lemmings. So if you literally just look up Leaders Not Lemmings, it's the only group of its kind on Facebook. So that's my free private Facebook group. I've got a heap of trainings in there, lots of value all around business, around mindset, around confidence, all these kind of things. Of course, there's soul stuff mixed into there. There's an amazing throat chakra healing meditation that I do in there as well as weekly oracle card pulls that I do group. So yeah, feel free to jump in there.
Leaders,
Easiest
not
way to get
lemmings.
me. Sorry.
That's leaders, not lemmings.
Yes, leaders, not lemmings.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay. So I've got some questions now because
Yeah.
I'm moving into a new stage in my life. Last week, I got married to my best friend. It was really awesome. You guys saw the pictures. It was cool. No big deal. But you kind of like pulled on my strings there a little while ago where you're like, yeah, sometimes I don't talk to people about business. This is about relationship and, maybe a relationship with yourself. And I'm always this big like fan of thinking that your universe shows up as a reflection mechanism to the communication, the language, the relationship you have with yourself. If you want to be wealthy, you be wealthy first. If you want to be in love, you love yourself first. So, entering this new zone, this new area of my life, like marriage, it's like, wow. And like, it doesn't feel very different because, Sally and I have been living together already and like, we've already have our family and it feels more complete. It feels more sound and like, it just feels more true. But it's not that the relationship changed at all. But I'd love to get your take on this. Like you do this for business. What does it look like when you're giving, like, can you give me marriage advice? Like, how do I be successful? What's the deal?
Well, I'm a little bit of a different story than most. Not that this would come as a surprise, knowing my energy and how I was brought up and so powerfully in my masculine, my masculine energy, but not surprisingly, I never wanted to get married. It didn't resonate with me. I couldn't have cared less. I thought it was absolute bullshit. My parents were the worst marriage I could ever possibly imagine. They hated each other. My dad was abusive, all of that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, if this is marriage, you're good. You can take it. So that marriage itself never resonated with me as a goal, right? And it wasn't until I met my husband, my now husband, at the time, Matt, my partner, he was the first person I'd ever met who after the first couple of days of meeting him, I actually felt I can marry this person.
Aww.
And that was it. And I tell that to people all the time. I'm like, I didn't want to get married. I just wanted to marry Matt. That's the difference. I didn't care about the marriage side of it. And that goes to show with our wedding. We had 35 people. That was it. 35 people. And I did not want any more people than that because to me, that was, it was something that just meant something to me. And it meant something to Matt as well. He was a lot more traditional back then. He was on his own spiritual journey as well. He's a lot more similar to me now. But to me, when we met, a lot of people know this story, that the night we met, Matt and I, we fell in love. It was love at first sight. Like we met off an internet site, off like back before Tinder. This was a while ago, guys. This was on those old school dating websites, on Oasis, I believe it was. And we met. And the night that we actually met in person, that night we went out for like a couple of drinks or whatever. We went back to my house where it wasn't my house. I was a housemate with someone else. And I'd only just moved back to Melbourne. I'd been back in Melbourne like 2 weeks. I'd moved in with my housemate because I'd left my boyfriend up in Queensland, came back down to Melbourne, and I still didn't even have a bed. We ended up in my bedroom and we fell asleep on my mattress on the floor, nose to nose, hand in hand, just staring at each other. And I remember so distinctly that night just saying, this is my person. Like it literally felt like my soul was just saying, oh, there you are. I've been looking for you. There you are. And so the thing, I guess, and this is why I don't coach people in relationships on how to improve their relationships, because I'm much better at attracting the right person for you in the first place. Because I literally manifested the exact person for me that I wanted, because I was so clear, I was so decisive, and I played chicken with the universe, right? I said to the universe, if you do not bring me my soulmate, the person who lights me up beyond words, the person who makes me just feel like I am floating on air, every single day. I expect to feel that every single day in some way, shape, or form. And I had this long list of all the things that he needs to be. And I played chicken with the universe. And I said, you know what? If you don't bring me that person, that's cool. I'll stay single my whole life, because that's better than me settling for someone who is nice or okay or whatever. I'm here to create way more than okay. So I need someone who's going to join me and help me with that. And yeah, it didn't take long, because I was so friggin' resolved. Like, when I made that decision, the universe sent me one other guy who I quickly tossed straight back out after a one date. And then the week after, they sent me Matt. And I was like, yep, cool, thank you. So, and that, that's really, I guess, a roundabout way for the marriage side of things.
Wow.
Find the right person in the first place. And then don't take it so seriously, right? When people talk up the idea of marriage, when people talk up that this is when things change, now my relationship is serious, now we're like all this. No, you decide way before that whether you're actually invested in this thing. And if you're invested in this thing, then the marriage is just, it's a beautiful way. If you love weddings, if you love, ceremonies, if you love rituals, then it's a beautiful ritual to really set that into yourself and to embody that. That's how I see it. And then the rest of it is just, you continue as you were. You get to make new rules together. You get to grow together, communicate. That is the only thing that I would say time and time again is, if you want to have a marriage that lasts, having had one for 5 years now, so like I know I'm an expert already, is communicate, right? If you can't communicate about everything, if you can't have your person be your person for everything, that's when the cracks are going to show, right? If you've got problems in your relationship, go talk to your person about it. Don't go bitch to your friends about what he or she is doing, or your mum, or whatever it is. Go talk to the person. If you need outside help, get professional help. Someone who is outside of this. It's never going to help your relationship to go and bitch to your best friend about what your partner's done, or, go complain to your mum. These are people who are not in the relationship with you. You can say things and go, oh my God, you won't believe what they did last night. But you also remember the time that they took care of you when you were sick for 2 days straight, when they held your hair back when you were throwing up in the toilet, right? You remember that stuff. Your best friend won't. Your mum won't. They will just hear when you say, oh my God, you won't believe what he did last night. So it's your relationship. Work on your relationship in your relationship. Seek all the help and all the support and all the coaching that you need from someone who is actually going to be able to help with that. But yeah, communicate with each other. Communicate with each other.
That's beautiful. And it makes me feel really grateful for the relationship that I have, because, I couldn't imagine going to my mom and telling her about like the things that me and Sally go through. Like, like it just feels like there's this sanctity of like growing a relationship and a partnership. So yeah, cool. I really appreciate that. It was a lot of fun to talk to you today. I really appreciate this, and I wish so much success for you guys. When we last talked, I told you guys I gotta find out for myself what the deal is, how this thing goes in deeper, and having the numerological underplay, like the script behind the vibe, makes me feel very much trusting of this space-time folder that you've got, like this really powerful spiritual magnet. So I hope that you really get a chance to see, hey, my numerologist told me I have it too. And to see that it's inside of you, it's got to be a really powerful place to know. With great power comes great responsibility. You got to really, I know you already have that, but not to take it for granted, to know that it's going to get bigger. You're going to age only how many years old inside of your even coaching business, and it's growing through to the next level. So I'm inspired. I appreciate you so much for being out here with us. We're absolutely going to collaborate again. You're going to see some really cool things happen, guys. But Anna T. Brooks, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Bobby. So amazed to connect with you. You're incredible, and I absolutely honor everything that you do. So thank you. You're incredible.
And I appreciate the amount of profound insight that you've been giving to me. I know that our audience, the people who watch this, are going to feel the same way too. All right, guys, this is the solution artist Bobby Parihar here signing off. You guys, thank you, Anna, and I appreciate you so much for being here. We'll see you guys online. All right, take care.